Hello, you are listening to the Natural Healing Show for UK Health Radio. I'm your host, Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 bestselling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. While you're there, definitely sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how you can heal yourself naturally. Now, our guest today is going to be talking about a subject that we all need to get better about, and that is self-confidence. I cannot tell you how many times when I'm doing a medical intuitive reading that the issue of self-confidence comes up. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a lady in Singapore this morning, and that was really one of the roots of what was going on with her issues, her health issues. Kimberly Carter is a self-confidence coach and cultivator. You can find out more about Kimberly and her wonderful work at kimberlycarter.live. Kimberly Carter is also the author of 10 Keys to Unlock a More Self-Confident You. Welcome, Kimberly Carter.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Kimberly Carter, as stated, and I help women overcome the obstacle of low self-confidence. And I do this through public speaking. I offer workshop facilitations, and I'm an author. And so I also live in Maryland. Originally, though, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, so I've been here a little bit over 4 years now, I think. I was going to say 4.5, but 4 is good. I have an MBA, and I also have a Master's in Divinity, and currently I'm working on my PhD in women's spirituality and social justice.
Okay, so Kimberly Carter, let's start for our audience. Let's talk about what exactly is self-confidence. I mean, I don't think you can actually get something or create something if you don't have a clear idea what that is. So how would you describe what self-confidence is?
Okay, so I did come up with this as my own personal definition, and I found it when I was trying to understand why I was having so many blocks and so many hindrances. And so self-confidence is how you feel about your abilities in a particular area. That's it in a nutshell. Versus self-esteem, which is how you feel about yourself overall. And it's just really, it's a nuance there, really subtle, but it's about your abilities.
Okay, so you feel that self-confidence is how you feel about your abilities versus self-esteem is about how you feel about yourself overall.
I do.
Okay, now let's talk about, so sometimes, contrast is helpful. So when we don't have self-confidence and we don't have self-esteem, what are some of the things that you notice that people experience?
For instance, and I'll talk about myself personally. I know that for me, not having self-confidence caused me not to just show up, if you will, in life for opportunities that I wanted to pursue. Things like something as simple as I wanted to start blogging, and I noticed that I hit like a roadblock of sorts in this, and I traced it to my self-confidence and not being confident in my ability to just speak up and use my own voice. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes. So you doubted your ability to speak up and use your own voice.
I did.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting is I was so happy to have you on the show to talk about this topic, because I cannot tell you how many times when I'm doing a medical intuitive reading that several things show up. First of all, as a medical intuitive, one of the things that I find is that your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you will ever have. Because all the relationships you have with everybody else, your family, your intimate partners, your friends, your boss, your children, everybody, it's all based on how healthy your relationship is with yourself. And I love that Kimberly says that self-confidence is your ability, how you feel about your abilities, and self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. So the more that you can work on having a healthy relationship with yourself, then the better all your relationships are. Also, I feel that if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, that shows up in lack of proper self-care, like you can be aloof with yourself. And so, Kimberly Carter, how important do you think it is to have good self-confidence?
Man, this again for me has been such a tremendous difference in between not having a self-confidence. So like, for instance, even being on this show, right? Without self-confidence, I wouldn't have accepted any invitations to show up here and even speak with you today. So I'm thinking in personal experience, the difference in having self-confidence and not is going to be success in some ways, in going after opportunities, in speaking up and showing up and just pretty much owning who you are overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, my first client of the day, I was working with someone in another country and even on another continent. And again, I found that most of her issues all boiled down to her relationship with herself and this lack of self-confidence. Yes. So in her case, this lack of self-confidence and lack of self-esteem was showing up in isolation and feelings of loneliness because she wasn't actually getting out and socializing and being with people in ways that would really nurture her and nurture her soul and lift her mood. And, you know, so it was, she was basically boxing in her life because she didn't feel good about herself. So you have, Kimberly Carter, you have a little book, The 10 Keys to Unlock a More Self-Confident You. What are these 10 keys, do you feel?
Okay, so I feel the first key is going to be owning that this is your responsibility, period. No one can help you develop your self-confidence. You can't get into like, oh, my parents didn't help me, my husband or wife or significant other, my friends. You have to be so willing to show up for yourself and just own the fact that it's your responsibility. So that's definitely key number one, and that's where I start in my book. So the next step is going to be where you commit to this journey of unlocking the self-confidence. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to tell yourself the truth. And of course that can be difficult, but that is the very next step after knowing that, hey, this is my responsibility. Number 3 is going to be where you identify areas in which you need a confidence boost in order to succeed. So you'll have to do what I call, and probably you as well, some deep inner healing work and journeys, so to speak, where you're sitting down with yourself and you're listing out, for instance, oh, I won't take the opportunity at work to do this public speaking thing. Well, why not? You know, so you're going to have to go into those type of modes where you're delving into that. The 4th key is going to be thinking confident thoughts. And we hear so much about our thoughts. I remember when I was younger, I was just kind of like, well, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. It matters because your thoughts shape how you show up, how you feel about yourself, and it just comes out. People can see it, whether you're saying it or not. So those thoughts are definitely going to be key. The number 5 confidence key is speaking confident words. So of course, hand in hand with your thoughts are going to be what come out of your mouth. And so this is one of those things that we'll spend the rest of our lives working on. I find myself like, even this morning getting ready, being like, I'm not ready, or this isn't perfect, you know? And I stopped myself and I thought, no, I'm enough for who needs me right now. And I'm going to show up for this moment. So I said that out loud to myself. Number 6, the next key is going to be crafting an environment of confidence. Your environment matters. And by environment, I'm speaking about it being clean, but I'm also speaking about who you allow into your environment. You have to protect and definitely guard your spaces, if that makes any sense. So that'll be crafting your environment. Number 7 is going to be processing rejection and how to move on from being rejected. And rejection does not have to be major. Rejection can be something as simple as a group of people went out to lunch and you weren't invited. And you just interpret that as rejection. So you have to learn how, and in doing this deep inner work, how to process that, how to see that in a healthy light, and how to move forward. So that's key. Number 8 is going to be boosting your confidence by slowing down and acknowledging your own progress. I don't think we acknowledge our progress enough. I think that in our effort to get to our next goal, we just keep moving. But it's reasons why we take the time out to celebrate a graduation, a baby's birth. It's times that we celebrate. And I think that we need to all incorporate more of that into our everyday lives. You know what I mean? Just celebrate those small wins. Number 9 is going to be walking in your confidence and owning this new confident you. So you have to figure out and be honest with yourself about ways that you haven't been walking confidently. And as you're progressing through these steps, you'll see your confidence building, and then you just continue to walk that out. And number 10, the last one, is going to be celebrating a more confident you. And by celebrating, I mean, hey, brag on yourself a little bit. Let the world know. Buy yourself that small trinket as you progress through these steps, so that you're sending a message to yourself, right? As you're progressing and you're celebrating that, you're letting yourself know that you're doing better, and that helps you walk that out. So those are my 10 keys that I share and go into depth with in the book.
So Kimberly Carter, I couldn't agree more with everything that you just said. And I understand that why you're a self-confidence cultivator and coach. Because the other thing about these keys is there are keys that you're never quite done. We always have to keep working on them, right?
Yes.
And, I wrote a blog recently, and it's called You're Already a VIP. So, I feel that everyone could benefit from a healing about, to feel good enough, okay? Like, I think that out of the box, everybody has a feeling like they're not quite good enough. And it's true, there's always somebody taller than you or richer than you or drives a faster car or has a more exciting sounding job or what have you. But one of the things that I talk to people about is that you are a vibrational interference pattern. Like Kimberly and I are both really nice people, but our energy is unique. And once you understand that, in my view, and this is just my opinion for whatever it's worth, is that you were born to be you, okay? I wasn't born to be Kimberly. Kimberly wasn't born to be me. And you weren't born to be either one of us. You were born to be you. So your energy is as unique as your fingerprint. And once you understand that you don't have to be anybody else, you just have to be you. And maybe you can be the best version of you. You can be the healthiest version of you, the happiest version of you, and so on. You can take care of your energy. And part of that is really just honoring that your energy and who you are is your gift to the world. And what I feel as a medical intuitive, when you just get over this feeling of not good enough, which again, I think is almost universal. I have yet to meet someone who didn't have that as something to overcome in their lives. And that when you get to the point where you honor who you are, you honor who you're meant to be, and the gift that you are offering the universe, then it's easier for you to find and fulfill your soul purpose. So Kimberly Carter, self-confidence cultivator and coach, when people find their self-esteem and their self-confidence, what do you see as some of the benefits?
Okay, so some of those benefits definitely are going to be just not having envy of others. You were speaking so much about the gift that you are individually and you're here to offer the world. Then you'll lose that sense of, oh, they're so much better than me. It doesn't matter, because as we know, gifts are all packaged in different sizes, boxes. Some gifts offer this, some gifts are expensive and big, some gifts are small but significant still. And so that lets you, that enables you and empowers you, so to speak, to just let go of that comparison trap. It's a trap, you know. Also, having that, you know, self-confidence just enables you to take more risks. And I mean that in a positive way. Just those things that you normally would shy away from. It could be something like, oh, I wanna go parasailing. Okay, you may need the confidence, and as you develop your confidence, you may go for that. It doesn't always have to be career motivated or focused. I speak about that though because a lot of times that lack of self-confidence shows up in the risks we won't take in our careers or in our purpose and in serving others. So those are just a couple of ways that that's beneficial.
You know, I just agree everything with the wisdom you're sharing. I know a personal story. I remember years ago, I think I was about 31 years old at the time. I'm now 60. And I remember I wanted to teach exercise classes. And I remember thinking, well, I'm up here in my leotard and everybody's looking at my body, right? And then I was teaching for a while and there was this little switch that went on in my head. I'm like, they're not worried about my body, they're worried about their body. And once I realized that, then I just shifted over to focusing on serving and helping others. And then I never think about what do I look like when I'm teaching. I'm always thinking about serving others and doing for others. Now, Kimberly Carter, how did you come to be passionate about the topic of self-confidence and how it's related to healing?
Okay, so my journey started as I was raised as an adoptee. And so I did not have that connection with my original identity and my biological family. And so this, over time, I realized had damaged my self-esteem and confidence in different ways. And when I was 30, I reconnected with my biological family. However, my birth mom was deceased. So I did not get a chance to meet her. And of course, I had to walk through the trauma of that grief for a while. That coupled with moving from Alabama to Maryland with my husband in 2015, it just kind of created this, I don't want to say just like this clash of everything, but so many shifts, you know, in my identity from who I was and who I had known myself to be to where I even lived, sent me on that journey, sent me to uncover my voice, to want to speak out and to want to just own that. And so that's how I started blogging, and that's how I started working those things out inwardly. That's how I got here. And that was a lot of my motivation because I realized that if I struggled, right, with self-confidence, other people were struggling. And for me, it may have been an identity issue or geography issue. It could be something smaller than that. A struggle is still a struggle. And if it holds you back, you still need to overcome it.
That is such a beautiful story. And I agree that lack of self-confidence and lack of self-esteem is the root of a lot of depression and also a lot of anxiety, right? So worrying about, you know, am I good enough? Do I fit in? Will they like me, right? And yet when we come to trust ourselves and to accept ourselves, that's the root of it, right? So in my work, I say there's basically 4 primary relationships that you can have with yourself, okay? And these are negative relationships, okay? And you want to overcome them. The first one is aloof, where you're not really present to who you are or what you need or what you want. So you're not really home. Another one is interrogator. So inside your mind, you're always probing for what's wrong. It's like, oh, my hair's not wrong, my clothes aren't wrong, my job's, you're always looking for what's wrong with you. Then there's the intimidator, where you're bullying yourself, right? So a lot of times people have experienced a harsh parent or a harsh or abusive parent. And even when the harsh or abusive parent isn't there, they've internalized that. And so they're bullying themselves and really, really hard on themselves. I worked recently with a professional athlete, and the only way that he knew to succeed was just by being super, super hard on themselves. So there's aloof, where you're not present, interrogator, where you're finding fault, intimidator, where you're bullying yourself. And the last primary unhealthy relationship is poor me. And so when you're poor me, you're always doing victim thinking. And the problem with poor me is that it's a very low level energy situation. And the problem with being a victim is when you think you're a victim, then you're constantly recreating the energy and pattern of victim in your life. So what you want to do is, I feel, in order to build self-confidence and self-esteem, like Kimberly's talking about, you need to have a relationship with your true self. So this is who you really are. And it's when you do this, what you know you're there, when your self-talk is mostly positive. You look in the mirror and it's like, oh, there you are. I love you. We're going to have a great day today, right? And you also, when you have this self-esteem and self-confidence, I feel that it empowers you to be so focused on what you're here to do that you set yourself aside in a positive way, right? You don't let your own shortcomings hold you back, right? What are your thoughts on that, Kimberly?
You said so much. I was actually thinking I should be taking notes. I just think too, this is a hard topic, especially in our age of social media and selfies, right? It's just so tempting to always just want to be perfect and to always appear to have it together. And so I think that also is contributing, like you said, to those 4 different areas, like the bully. I may be bullying myself because I'm going, well, I don't have it together like her. I need to get it together, and things of that nature. So just, yeah, I agree with all of I've found myself in most of those categories. I still work on this every day, and so I totally concur with those areas and how those need to be uncovered.
Right. And what I find is that if you don't have a relationship with your true self, you're primarily doing one or the other. So for me, my pattern was poor me. So I had a long history of depression. I got off lithium and antidepressants when I was 34. I've been drug-free for 26 years now. But part of the healing of that, part of healing the lifelong depression, was having a healthier relationship with my true self and getting over the pattern of poor me. So again, you're either aloof, where you're not present, you're the intimidator, which is the bully, you're the interrogator, which is looking for what's wrong all the time, or you're in poor me. And by developing self-confidence and self-esteem, I think that it allows you to have a better relationship with your true self. Now, I'm going to give an example of an exercise that I give my clients. I actually gave this assignment this morning, and I usually do it with the person, because what I find is that when people have challenges with self-esteem and self-confidence, they may not even have the self-esteem to look at what's right about themselves. So I have the person take out a piece of paper. And if you're in the audience, please do this, okay? Because we can always build our self-confidence. So take out a piece of paper and write down everything that you know is right about you. Like, you may be kind, you may be sensitive, you may be caring, you may be generous, you may be good with children or little animals, you may be intelligent, you may be beautiful, you may have a great fashion sense. You may be intuitive. You may be open-minded. So write down everything that you can think of as fast as you can about what's special, unique, and fabulous about you. And then also, if you're confident enough, ask people that you care about to do the same thing. Like people like your best friend or your mother or your father or your intimate partner. And because they'll have unique observations about you, like you're funny as all get out, or you tell great jokes, or when you're a very good listener. So once you have your lister list, get your smartphone, Everybody's got a smartphone these days. If you're listening to this broadcast, you probably have a phone. And go to the voice memo section. And then start recording a series of affirmations. And it's got to be in the I am statements. So you're going to say, I am beautiful. I am kind. I'm sensitive. I am generous. I am open-minded. I am growth-oriented. I'm curious. I'm passionate. I'm healthy, and so on. And write down, as you have written this list down, speak it in your own voice, because it's what you say to yourself that's the most important. And then once you've got this voice recording of you saying good things to you, then I'd like you to listen to it 5 times a day. And this is very, very protective. So Kimberly Carter, what sort of assignments, if you will, do you give people to help them build their confidence?
Gosh, it's just so amazing that you mentioned using technology, because I have a free resource on my website. And the first step is to take technology and use it to your advantage by setting a timer throughout the day to remind yourself to say a positive affirmation about yourself. So that is just amazing. And it can be a silent or vibrational so that it doesn't disturb you, at work, or so that, like you said, it's very personal and intimate. But what you're going to definitely do is when that timer goes off, take that deep breath, like you said, in the I am statements, and say one positive affirmation right then. So that's what I suggest. I also suggest that at the end of your day or the beginning of your next day, that you take a few minutes to evaluate that progress. So did you, when the timer went off, did you stop and actually do what you were supposed to? And I also suggest during that evaluation moment, think about how you spoke about yourself. Was it negative? Did it contribute to your self-confidence, or did it detract from your self-confidence? And so definitely taking technology and then mixing it in like you did with actually physically writing. And you don't have to physically write it. Some people are like note takers on their phone. However you do it, though, it's just so very important, and it's key.
Right. Now, another thing that I found about, I just wrote a blog actually on this subject, is that you can't heal your body if you hate it. So I did a medical intuitive reading recently on a lady with breast cancer. And one of the things that I said was that her cancer was actually a manifestation of her lifelong hatred of her physical body. And hatred may sound like a really strong word, but there's a lot of people, both men and women, who are so unhappy and dissatisfied with their physical body that it can actually manifest a disease. So, Kimberly Carter, how do you think self-esteem and self-confidence helps us with our body image?
I think that some mirror work that you can do, and to build and have that self-confidence. And this is, a little bit kind of crazy, but standing just in front of the mirror and just building your self-confidence up. I think those go hand in hand, definitely. I just think that self-esteem and self-confidence and how you feel about your body, and not waiting till you're where you want to be, quote unquote, to build yourself up, to love your body. I think that also is key, something that I work on all the time, just like I'm sure everyone does, because I ate too many carbs last week and I didn't get an exercise, type things like that. So I definitely think, yes, I agree that building your self-confidence up and loving your body is key. It's very important.
Yeah, because I don't think that it's possible to really heal something if you hate it, right?
True. Yes.
Yeah. And yet we never really stop and think, is this disease or illness that I'm facing a manifestation of me hating my body so much that I'm actually hurting it or possibly even destroying it, right?
Right.
So another exercise that I give for people for body image is to stand in front of a mirror naked. Now, I admit this takes a lot of confidence and courage to do, so you may have to work up to this one. but get an eyeliner or a lip pencil, something that you can erase, and then stand naked or in your underwear in front of the mirror and write on your body, I love you, for all the parts that you have found fault with. So maybe write, I love you on your belly, or I love you on your thighs, or I love you on your arms, your saggy arms, or any part that you have found fault with, right? And Kimberly Carter, you mentioned social media. Why do you think that social media undermines our self-confidence?
If you're not approaching any platform on social media from a very self-confident and very reassured position, then when you get on there, and you see so many other people who are confident or who appear to be confident or who appear to have their lives together, I think that could lead down that just kind of rabbit hole of comparison. I think it's just the culture right now. I don't want to say it is what it is, but until, like you said, you do some of that deeper inner healing work, you may not need to be on there as often as you are. You need to really build your confidence up in order to just be present and to not do any self-loathing or comparison on those platforms. So yes, definitely.
Yeah. And we also have to remember that when people are on the social media, for the most part, they're sharing their glory moments. And, there's a lot of times when somebody's life can look really good, but on the inside not feel very good, right? And there's a difference between how you look on the outside and how you feel on the inside.
Yes.
Now, Kimberly Carter, how do you feel the topic of self-confidence coincides with natural healing?
Okay, so I just feel like natural healing and confidence, until, like we've been discussing, until you actually heal what's going on with you, you can't walk in self-confidence fully, so to speak. So I think that they coincide in that way. They go hand in hand, and you really just can't even have one without the other. So on the opposite side, as you heal, you're actually also healing your self-confidence, even if you don't think you're doing the active work to do so. But as you heal, like you said, maybe the words that you speak, as you heal, loving your body and writing those things on your body, then that's just going to be self-confidence is going to be a byproduct of that healing. So.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that you were willing to share your journey about having been adopted, because a lot of people are adopted, and yet that also means that somebody wanted you enough to adopt you, right? Your adopted family said, I want Kimberly, right?
Yes.
This beautiful, precious person, I want her in my life, right? So in your body, you have acupuncture meridians, and one of your acupuncture meridians has to do, there's actually two meridians having to do with your heart. One's called the heart meridian, and the other one is called, it's got several names, pericardian meridian, circulation, sex. And what it has to do with is bonding and connection. Now, the first person you have to be connected to is yourself. So as you build this self-confidence and as you build this self-esteem, then you're going to have a deeper, more grounded, solid connection with your true self. And when you have this deeper, more solid connection with your true self, it's easier to be in your power. Like if you look at powerful, confident women, they have this connection to their true self, right? And then once you've connected with yourself, you connect, the first person outside that you connect with is usually your mother. But what a lot of people don't know is many babies don't get breastfed. And when you have not integrated the reflex of breastfeeding, again, you can develop oral fixations, which leads to things like, food addictions or need for smoking. And again, an inability or difficulty connecting to others in a really, really healthy way. So Kimberly Carter, how do you feel that as we build our self-esteem and self-confidence, that empowers us to have better relationships with other people?
Gosh, I know that definitely you'll see them in a purer light because you're relating to yourself better, because you're healing those broken areas so you can receive them fully for who they are, and you're not, I don't know, interjecting your issues or projecting your issues into the situation, that you're able to just step back, whether it's a good connection or not, and just clearly see and own the parts that you may be, injecting, or the parts that aren't yours. You can, detach from them in a healthy way, but still be in relationship with others, not feeling like you have to isolate yourself totally, and not feeling like, okay, I'm so insecure, or I'm not confident enough to just even be around this person. So that does definitely go hand in hand, having those healthy relationships and having a healthy relationship and self-confidence with self.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that your first key is to realize that we have to do this for ourselves. We can't expect other people to do it for us, because if you don't believe that you're awesome, if you don't believe that you're a VIP already, that you're a vibrational interference pattern, and that your energy is exactly what you're here to give the world, that you're here to bless the world with, if you don't believe that, then other people can tell you you're beautiful, you're amazing, you're awesome, and you won't believe it, right?
Right.
So it's what you believe about yourself that matters most. Now, Kimberly Carter, self-confidence coach, why do you believe that many people fail to heal themselves in the area of self-confidence?
Honestly, it may not have been a subject that was addressed in their home. I know for me as a child, I understood healing when I had a cold or the flu or a scraped knee. I understood those modes of healing. But honestly, my parents were such hard workers. They may not have even known about this area to teach it to me. So this is maybe not something that's taught to people. Another reason people may fail is because it's uncomfortable, and it may not be something that they've, excuse me, in the past been willing to delve into. And so that could be another factor. They may not know is also a factor. They may not realize for different reasons that self-confidence may be holding them back. They may not see it as a factor. And so those are some reasons why people may fail to heal.
I agree with all of that. I think another reason could be that you've actually come to believe that there's something wrong with you.
Mm.
And, and when you come to believe there's something wrong with you, that you're broken or you're missing something, I think that this is a huge misconception. And even when I do medical intuitive readings, people come to me because they want to know what's wrong. Why am I sick? Why can't I get well? And I explain to them, and not only what's wrong, but what will work to make them better. But I'm so careful because I do not want to create the misperception that there's anything wrong with you. And what do I mean by that? In the universe, there's no such thing as a vacuum. So you always have all the resources that you need. Even if it's a phone number, call Kimberly, work on my confidence, right? Or, have access to people around you who love you and who see what's fabulous about you, even when you can't see it, right?
Right.
So I just think that that's really, really key. And like you said, a lot of people may not have connected their low self-esteem with their breast cancer or with their depression or anxiety. So a lot of people, aside from it coming to the conclusion, yeah, I'm broken, there's something really wrong with me, might as well give up now, in which case they live in this aura of hopelessness, which is a terrible place to be. I always like to Yeah, I have so much information. I like to give people lots of ways that you can feel better naturally, which is why we're doing this show. Um, so it's really imperative, I think, that you work on this. Now, Kimberly Carter, how can someone measure their own level of self-confidence? I mean, how is that a measurable thing?
It is. And in my free download, I also suggest, and you mentioned this, asking a trusted friend to tell you areas that you berate yourself or down talk yourself in, things that you may not realize you do. Especially a common example is, oh, you look great. You're like, oh, I look okay. Things like that, that's a clue. That's an indicator that you're lacking something there in your confidence. And that will, and you have to be really open and ready to hear this, right? So when you go to your friend and they tell you, you have to hear what they're telling you, and so that you can take that and then do this work. So that's a good way to measure it, by getting the input and help from others.
I really appreciate that suggestion. And we have to remember that your body believes everything that you say to it. So if you look at your body and you tell your body there's something wrong with it, then on a cellular level, your cells, your whole being respond. On the other hand, I'll tell this story. Years ago, the way I got into positive thinking, this is a funny story. So years ago, I was in my early 30s, and I remember hearing about this course about positive thinking. And I said, well, everybody knows you should think positively, duh, okay, what else is new? And I remember I heard about this course, and the very next day, I went to a naturopath who diagnosed me with a very serious illness. And I was really scared. But I remembered that the day before, I had heard about this class in positive thinking. So I was like, you know what? There's a connection. I need to sign up for this course. And so I went to the course, and I would walk around going, I am radiantly healthy. And I would, no matter how bad I felt, I just kept affirming, I am radiantly healthy. And now I am. So I think that, again, how we think about ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, all that manifests. And it manifests immediately in your physical body at the cellular level. And it either manifests this self-love that we're talking about and this self-caring. It manifests in natural healing, or it manifests in disease. And if you're facing disease right now, one of the simple steps you can take to turn it around is to work on your self-confidence.
Yes.
Now, Kimberly Carter, why do you think improving self-confidence is an act of self-care?
It's an act of self-care for sure, because you have to take some time out to actually work on improving it. So we always think of self-care as eating the right things and exercising and getting a great amount of sleep, the amount we need, which that's all very true. But in healing your self-confidence, that next facet to that is the time that you're willing to take, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, to improve and heal, and to just even work on improving it. So definitely those coincide.
Now, Kimberly Carter, I know that on your website, kimberlycarter.live, you've got some downloads for people. Can you tell our audience about your free download?
Okay, yes, that's 5 steps to a more confident you. And you can just go on there. It's a free resource. You just keep scrolling to the bottom till you see download here. And it'll give you some day-to-day things that you can start putting into action, like setting that timer. A few more suggestions are listed in there. And just go get that. Definitely. I print it out. I actually frame it and I hang it on mirrors and just different things just to remind me throughout my different spaces. You put it on your phone, just download it there. So definitely go get that resource and start putting that to work right now today.
Okay, and everybody can get that at kimberlycarter.live. So Kimberly,
yes, and you just look for the tab.
Okay. And Kimberly Carter, self-confidence cultivator and coach. Any final thoughts for our audience?
I just want to say that you just are so worth putting the time into yourself, investing in yourself to build yourself up, to just walk to that next level of self-confidence that you seek in any area. So just start with that thought that, hey, I am worth this investment of self-care.
Yes. A great affirmation is, I'm good enough, I have enough, I am enough, right?
Good. Yes.
And I want to say, if you're out there listening, again, you are unique. You're special. Who you are is, there's nobody ever been born who's quite like you. And once you embrace your own uniqueness and love who you are and love who you're meant to be, it's so much easier for you to step into, to discover and fulfill your soul purpose. So love yourself, love who you're meant to be. Know that, and I'm going to use the word God, universal source, higher power, doesn't make mistakes. And he didn't make a mistake. He, she, the great source creator did not make any mistakes when you were created. And he gave you the body that you need and the soul that is who you really are. So love who you really are and embrace that. And the more that you embrace who you are, the more you will experience natural healing. You can find out more about Kimberly Carter at kimberlycarter.live. This is Catherine Carrigan, medical intuitive healer and Amazon #1 best-selling author. You can find out more about me and my work at catherinecarrigan.com and unlimitedenergynow.com. Definitely, while you're there, sign up for my newsletter so you can learn even more about how to heal yourself naturally. And again, love your body. And the more you love your body the way it already is, the more you're going to experience natural healing. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.